We're here tonight on Making Waves, the Shiprock podcast, with Stu from SpiritWorld. And Stu, my first question for you is, what kind of life decisions have you made to get you to the point where you're preparing to go on board a cruise ship to play your music for a bunch of fanatics?
Going left when I should have went right, I suppose. I don't know. Shit, I haven't done much cruises. I've never done a vacation one. I went on one heavy metal cruise for 70,000 tons one
Oh
time.
yeah,
A
okay.
buddy of mine, he's a huge, there's this band called Troll Fest. You ever heard of them?
What is it?
I have
You have,
troll
Justin?
fest, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
Trophy.
yeah, Chris Martin, Taos, New Mexico. He's like their biggest fucking fanboy. Hit me up. Somebody dropped out, drugged me along, and I had no idea who was playing. Hung out. It was cool, but I've never even been on a boat that big, so it was kind of a wild, you know, not my lineup of metal bands. I love metal, but it was just a lot of weird shit. So I remember Demolition Hammer played, who I love. So I watched them a couple times, but yeah, not a big Troll Fest guy, the whole whatever that is. So I'm excited to go on a cruise where I actually know a few of the bands and have something to do, have a purpose, play a
Yeah,
couple gigs, you know.
yeah,
When you're just sitting there hanging out watching bands, I was, you know, working on my suntan, but a little weird.
yeah. It can be a little daunting for sure, especially if you haven't been on a cruise ship before. Had you been on a cruise ship before?
No, never, man. I've done some fly fishing and, trolling a lake. Mainly anytime
Yeah,
I've been on a boat, it's been small and been centered
yeah,
around fishing.
yeah,
Just seeing a giant cruise ship. And then all the guys we went with were like smuggling in bladders of booze and like they were for the raging, you know,
yeah.
fucking pirates at sea thing. And I was just like the last one to show up, completely like no clue the etiquette of hanging out on a cruise, you know?
Yeah, well, that's good. It's kind of got you lubed up for Shiprocked a little bit. Boy, the 70,000 thing, that is the next level, man. They do a great job with that cruise. We pay attention to all those cats out there. They do a great job. The schedule is so brutal. It's like they have shows starting at
Dude,
3 in the morning.
they have just as many bands as people on the cruise.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. I ended up on opposite schedules from like there was in the stateroom we were in, there was like four of us, and then those guys were raging and then hung over and sleeping. So I ended up the bands I wanted to see, were playing hella late. So I ended up for a couple days just everybody in my room was asleep, passed out, hung over, and I was just wandering around solo with a bunch of weird European metal fans and shit. It was, good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
It sounds like you might rather have been dunking a worm from the 12-foot V hull on the lake. Is that
I like
accurate?
fishing, so yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, sign me up. I
Where
like
does
fly
where
fishing.
does one fish in Las Vegas?
I mean, you can go out to Lake Mead or like a family friend has a spot up in Sunnyside, a couple hours north, where we do some bass fishing, hang out. But my whole family's a bunch of hicks, so kind of hunting, fishing's just something you
Yeah, yeah,
grow up doing,
yeah, it's in you for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the
Yeah,
yeah.
same. I'm the same. I'm a smallmouth bass kind of guy. I gotta have it.
yeah.
I don't go anywhere near as long as often as I'd like to, but
Stu, new album, Death Western. I gotta ask, man, what drove you guys into this lane per se? This kind of very unique, kind of like you grew up with Louis L'Amour books, and then you like Slayer.
I mean, that's it right there. It's like you grow up going into the bathroom reading enough Louis L'Amour and jamming Slayer. You end up a demented fucking death western dude, bro.
Dude, it's a fascinating thing because I mean, obviously there are other bands that do it, not as extreme as you guys. There's Super Suckers, there's Volbeat, kind of have
Yeah, yeah.
this thing, but you guys bring the nudie suits into it, and then it kind of changes everything. Because it's like I'm going, man, what's their wardrobe budget?
It's brutal, is what it is.
It's
We just finished a new record, and like part of that is I just got 5 new suits done. It's so the I was just telling our guitar player Matt because I write all the records, and it's basically a like my solo passion project. And then when I put out the first record, and then the whole world was shut down with COVID, right? So it was like
Yeah.
you couldn't tour if you wanted to. So I was just like, well, I don't want to sit on it. I'm just going to put it out. And if it does anything cool, we'll play some shows later. So it's been kind of weird because I put out a record. We couldn't play any shows. Then when stuff started opening up, um, I hooked up with Century Media and they re-released the record, right? So we didn't play our first show until like our second album, Death Western. We had already recorded it right before it came out. So it it's been a little weird, but like part of it is, the I had the idea to like write some horror fiction. So I put out these short stories and I self-released that in the first record. Then they both got picked up. Rare Bird Lit out of LA published the book, and then so that came back out when Death Western came out. But part of this, like I grew up in a household where like my parents rodeoed, like I don't know, just the Western thing is it's a big deal in my family, So to me, it's not weird. Like I rodeoed until I was in high school, and I loved punk rock and hardcore and death metal. So I was always all these things always made sense to me. So then I'm a bit of a horror film fanatic, love horror fiction. So when I decided to do another band, I was like, I don't want to do a band and just grind it out and tour. Only want to do a band if I can like be my favorite band. And then I sat there and figured out like, well, to challenge myself, like I don't want to just be a dude in a black t-shirt or like wearing cool Sepultura long sleeves. Like what's something, every facet of it, I was like, what's like, if I'm going to be extra and like go full nut job, what does that look like? And then here we are, where in order to do a record, I also have to custom fucking tailor 5 suits and design them and do all this crazy shit that right now, financially and like just logistically, I'm losing my mind, but I've got it in the can. We just got the masters for the record. So turned it into the label. Suits just arrived. They fit pretty good. Got to do a little alterations, but the hard lifting is done.
Man, I can't tell you how much I fucking love how much you guys have put into this, because you lend yourself to being also like, man, I listen to music and I see the look and I'm like, it's very thematic. Like it's like you have a very cinematic scope about what the band and your look is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's right for like small mini movies for each of their songs. Like there's a production value there that's just not in most metal or punk or whatever you want to consider that being your genre or whatever. Because you're kind of all over the place a little bit. Because you got your acoustic numbers, you've got the speed metal stuff, you got the hardcore thing. It's just a really nice mix, and it's super fresh for, like you said, a genre that sometimes just gets caught up its own ass, and it's cut up jeans and it's black t-shirts, man.
Yeah, I'm a scene kid. I'm a punk kid, grew up
Yeah.
going to like DIY shows and metal shows. So like to me, I love all those little individual genres, and the underground have been to a million shows, you know what I mean? But for me, it's like to get excited about doing a band. Like if I'm honest with myself, like I want to try and get a band where I'm like huge stage, huge theater style production, like whatever, the biggest, craziest thing I can do. And so part of that is one, it's intimidating to even put yourself out there. And then the other part is like, why not? Like, I have this weird thing where it's like, just manifest it. It seems crazy to do anything until you start doing it. Then I don't know, something magic happens where like it just starts working out.
Where did you grow up?
Vegas.
Oh, you're from Vegas. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Yeah, because I was wondering with all the hillbilly mentality, it's like you just when you say hillbilly, you necessarily think about Vegas.
Yeah. Like on my mom's side, they grew up in Texas. And so they came out here, just outside of north of Vegas. They had a ranch. And then probably in the early 60s, they moved into Vegas, but came from Texas. They were all cattle ranching out there and then had a ranch up in north, little further north in Nevada. And then my dad he was in Vegas like first like graduating class of the first high school, like so we have pretty deep roots here.
Yeah. You talked about having the suits designed, which is like Justin said, I mean, to me, it's like the detail, paying attention to the details, right? I mean, everybody in this business is, has got to kind of pay attention to the image, right? And then, but those who really pay attention to it, and it's natural, and it's coming from a real place, and from who you are, makes it that much more special and real, and it's super cool. Who is the designer, if you don't mind me asking?
So a friend of mine, Andy May, out in St. Louis, like we came up in the hardcore scene together. He has a tattoo shop called I think it's Howdy Tattoo now. But I asked him to help me do the artwork for it
Mhm.
because the suits we did on the last album campaign, they were cool, but they weren't all my ideas and my
Kind
kind
of
of
more off the rack kind of thing.
yeah, and like some of the stuff it was just to get them done in time. Like two of our suits were custom made with all the artwork, and then some of the other ones were kind of like just whatever we could get thrown together. And so these I wanted them to be all cohesive. So my buddy Andy did all the artwork for him. We went back and forth, and then um, once we get that done, then send them out to a company that does the tailoring and the actual embroidery and rhinestones and all of that.
Gotcha.
So it's a
Yeah.
long,
Oh,
tedious
I'm
process
sure.
to
Yeah,
do it.
being a Nashville guy, it's reminiscent of the Manuel factor that we have here.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like in those, I mean, it would be great if like Nudie and some of these folks are still around. Like the last suit I did, I had uh Judith over at Rose Cut Clothing do it out of LA, and she does a lot of like, I mean, you'll see her stuff on like Post Malone and Jenny Lewis and stuff, but she does the applique designs, and I like the embroidery because you can really get detailed with the artwork, and really take what you draw and get it on there. And so, yeah, I just grew up like watching all these old honky tonkers, and it's like Porter Wagner, George Jones, and all these
Yeah.
guys. Like my parents, that's all they listen to,
Hmm.
right? So all the album covers and shit, and then like I did Graham Parsons and that stuff. So in the back of my mind, it was like two birds with one stone. It's like I've always been obsessed with Manuel suits and nudie suits, and watching like bands like BR549. Like I love alt country and old honky tonk. So when I was doing this, I'm like, it doesn't make sense in the metal scene, but it makes sense to me. Like I want a nudie suit, so I'm gonna fucking do
Yeah.
it for my band. And so now I've got two, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's funny because I thought about when I was thinking about your look and the way everything kind of comes together with the music and the theme and everything. It's like it just reminds me of Ghost. I mean, they came out of the box with like on a small label, Rise, and put out this great record. It sounded like retro rock, but they already put together all the priest outfits and the clergy stuff and all the stuff. I was like, you know what? It's that mentality. Like, if we're gonna just fucking do it, let's do this. I mean, it's gonna
yeah.
cost us a pretty penny, but you know what? Failure is not an option here, so we're gonna go for it. So let me ask you. So along with your own writing and ideas you've come up with and you've published, what else do you reflect upon or look towards for inspiration for writing, let's say, your lyrics?
Lyrically, a lot of the stuff on these three albums, this is kind of a trilogy. So this third one I'm doing for Century Media completes that contract. And then it's kind of the same story arc. So it's a kind of one big concept album where those short stories and the characters from that are in these three records. And there's a lot of point of view songs from different characters. So a lot of it is just based in this big amalgamation of different same characters but different mediums. So I've got like the fiction work and then music videos and the songs. So it's all been basically telling one big story. So I just pull inspiration wise. I mean, it's spooky movie season at my house, so we just watch horror movies and westerns and that stuff always, I can listen to Marty Robbins and then write a thrash riff just about every time. I don't
I
know
love it.
why, but it's
So
like, yeah.
it's so interesting because I've spent in the 27 years in Nashville. There was a good stretch of probably 15 of those years where I was at the Grand Ole Opry working twice a month probably. at least a
Hell
time
yeah.
and a half a month. So all this shit just rings so great for me. Everything that you are doing is so great to me. Um, as far as the music goes and the writing, Justin touched on the lyrical part of it. See, it's so funny because when I listen to your music, I hear all kinds of shit, and it's so good because it's like a fleeting moment of this and a fleeting moment of that, and then something that, while it's reminiscent, it's also fresh, right? So, I mean, today I heard Gojira, obviously Slayer, obviously Sepultura, and a little bit of Metallica, but man, there's a lot of Pantera in here too, to me. There's some groovy ass
Yeah.
shit that happens in here, right? So that's just me talking, whatever. But
Yeah.
the question is, if I can refine this wind, um, how does the song start? What are your strengths musically? How does the song start? Is it a guitar riff? Is it give us the breadth of your musicianship. Like, did you start on drums? Did you just go through the whole arc here for me?
Yeah, I guess I'm a musician on one hand because I like make music, but
Yeah,
like I'm just a DIY kid that went to shows. Like I had friends that played guitar. I could never play shit. Like I've never been able to listen to somebody else's song and like figure out a riff. But through being in punk bands and hardcore bands and you know, in the DIY scene, like I got to the point where I was like singing in a hardcore punk band, but we weren't writing the kind of music that I wanted to do, but I couldn't play guitar. So I was like the dude standing at practice, being obnoxious, like trying to like form a language with my brother that was playing guitar where I'd be like mouthing the chugs and the fast parts and be like, no, bro, it's got to be like ba da 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 jun jun jun
hmm
jun jun. And then he's trying to like transcribe my like retardedness on guitar.
yeah,
So then somehow that became let me just fucking figure out how to play this stuff that I write.
yeah,
And so that has slowly led to where I'm at now, where just like you said, like I love all those bands you mentioned and then 1,000 more. And so when I
sure,
pick up a guitar, I mean, that's the stuff that I listen to that I like. So the only thing I care about doing with this band is trying to take all these influences that I like and make what would be like my favorite band. And so if you're going to be my favorite band, it's got to have like, it's got to pull from like 80s thrash and the crossover scene and also like the groovy early 90s Roadrunner metal stuff, Swedish death metal, like on the aggressive end.
mhm,
You know what I mean? So like whenever I write a song, it's almost 9 times out of 10. If it's a metal song, it just starts with writing riffs. And I finally got where I could, production wise, in my little home studio here, I can, map out MIDI drums and figure out the right groove to it. And then it's just fun. Like, this is my escape from reality. I just like to get in here and just like fucking riff. And then I just am a relentless editor. So when I write a song, like the lyrics on the heavy stuff are an afterthought. Like coming up with the verse and chorus, I try to make them, you know, cool. But honestly, these 3 records, I just like, let's take badass riffs and then see how I can like, I just hate metal records when they're busy and then they don't have a good groove. And then you have some guy wanking off on a solo. And the one cool part they do, it's like 30 seconds of a 4-minute song. So I just try to do the shit I like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And you
Whittle
gotta
it down.
like,
Yeah, whittle it down to the meat, right? The meat and
yeah. And
potatoes.
if I get it to the point where I think it's pretty tight, then I send it to my brother or our other guitar player. And I'm like, I already know it's pretty damn good by the time I'm proud of it.
Mhm,
But if I send it to them and they hit me back like, Jesus Christ, dog,
mhm.
then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this, we're
Do
going
they
somewhere. We're
do they
cooking.
send music your way too, or is it just basically you? Hey, fucker, do this.
Yeah, I write everything and record it and then playing live, once the stuff's done. Like right now, we're gonna do our first practice since we did this new record Saturday. So working up the set list for the Shiprock show actually. So I have a list of the new songs, so they'll listen to them now that it's done and start, they'll have some questions and I'll try not to fuck it up too bad because they put me on the spot and will ask, like,
Right.
what is this riff? What'd you play?
Yeah, and you're
And
gonna go.
then
You're gonna go. Do 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 do. Idiot.
Yeah, and I haven't played these songs. I tracked all the guitars. Like the last time I did a rhythm part was in April, and then we did all the other stuff on the record, just finished it. But I don't, once I write a song, I'm done with it. Like I don't play them. You know,
Right.
I
Right.
I know that's weird, but like I write these songs and then like I haven't played anything off Death Western. So if you ask me what I played, I'll try to remember it. But since I don't have a good ear, I always like tell them the wrong frets, and then somebody figures it out to the rep, and
Right.
they're like, "What the
Right.
fuck? You told me it was this."
Right.
I'm
You
like,
told
"Well,
me it
you
was jig jig
know."
jig and it's jig jig jig.
Yeah, so I'm the worst. And Saturday, I know I'm gonna get into it with my band because I am the worst. And I'll be like, no, no, that's wrong. It should be here.
And
And
they're
I'll
gonna
be
be
wrong.
so so when you're listening to your records, it's you playing the instruments.
I don't do the drums live, so
Right.
our live
Okay.
drummer did the new
Okay.
record, Death
Gotcha.
Western.
Yeah.
My buddy Thomas Pridgeon, who he's playing in Fever 333, and um he played in Mars Volta. He did
Okay.
Yeah, the
half of the
drum.
drums on Pagan Rhythms, and he did the whole Death Western record. And so I write out the MIDI drums, and then my producer Sam Pura, I get with him. We track all the rhythm guitars, and then it's kind of backwards. Instead of doing the drums first, I like to go in, track the instruments, really fine tune the tempo, and then some of the fills. You know, the drummers will have a great idea, but basically, I'm a bit of a psycho and just tell these great drummer friends of mine, like, here's what I want you to play.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
then that point, instead of making guitar sounds with your mouth, you make drum sounds with your mouth.
boom pap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not look, don't Justin, I know you want to ask a serious question, but I want to know about the Pat Boone, Debbie Boone. Pat Boone, Debbie Boone, right?
That's it.
Best drum fill ever. Put it on everything. Anyway, Justin, sorry. I digress there.
With this new record coming out, do you have is there a TBA on it or TBD as far as like when you expect to put it out or
Yeah,
have it for public consumption?
it'll be, unless something changes. I just sent it in to Century Media, so I think it'll be like the third week of March. It'll
Okay.
come out, and so we're gonna do like, there'll be like a December, January, February single with a video, and then the record in March. So by
Okay.
the
Are you
time we do the Shipwreck, we should have the first two singles should be out, pumping. You know,
um are you at liberty to say you titled it, or is that still working on that?
I have it all. It's gonna be called Hell Dorado. Like, I guess they'll probably announce it maybe in January. So this might,
Okay.
but I don't know. I'm my own man. I'm my own boss. Like, I don't
Well,
want
I appreciate you talk because most people go, well, they really can't because of the label and
Well, I mean, I guess it's a secret, but I mean, whatever.
No,
Like,
no,
I don't know.
no,
It's not a secret to me. Like, I come up with all this shit. So, you know, sorry,
yeah.
Century Media, if you're upset listening to this podcast.
They'll be okay.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, it's funny thinking about you in Vegas, man. I just and your horror, you're being savvy in the horror thing. I just think of when I think of your music, and then I think of Vegas, and I think of like that desert that's out there. And I'm thinking, man, this shit's like The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, yeah. That's where we
That
filmed
kind
like the
big
videos. Like,
wasteland.
yeah, we just drive out. And a buddy of mine does a lot of film work. So I went to high school with him, and like the music videos we shoot, like it's just right outside of Vegas, just pull up, film it.
Yeah, dude. There's no need for props or anything. It's just all right there.
Yeah, and it's cool. I would say like the desert is just as big of an inspiration on this stuff as like the music or the literature or the film, because I don't know, man, the desert's a cool thing.
I'm curious. So when bands are from certain areas or whatever, you're from Vegas. What's the Vegas reception for you guys?
This band's weird because we didn't come up playing here and like build a following. So like we've
Okay.
only played Vegas a few times, and I think we've only played like one show here since we did Pagan Rhythms. It wasn't sold out way in advance. And so we haven't really got to play where everybody can come see us, because we kind of end up only doing like one show a year, and whatever show we're doing with the lineups are just crazy, and they are just sold out. So it's a packed room. But we did Psycho Fest, I think was the last one we did where but yeah, the reception's good, man. We get a lot of love
Yeah.
here. A lot of love from the metal and
Hey,
hardcore scene.
dude, you're on the ground there. What happened to Cycle Fest? That thing was the best thing in America as far as festivals.
I don't know, man. I have
It's
no
run out of
clue.
money.
I have no scoop on that. No clue.
Wow,
I
man.
thought that it was
Yeah.
going to come back this year, was what I was told.
Hmm.
Our booking agent, Nick Storch, he works with Max Vick, works with him, and Max used to help curate that. So I picked him up last time they did a Psycho Fest, took him to a barber shop, and whatever. Like when that broke, that they were canceling, and I thought that they were taking a year off to like regroup. So I
Hmm.
was surprised that because I was bummed because I want, like, that's right down the street. Like I would love to just play that fest every year.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, it's almost been supplemented by everything else. Every other fest is rolling through there these days.
Yeah, it's crazy actually. Like the when I think about growing up here now, it's just like so many destination festivals are here. It's
Mhm.
insane. I went and
Well,
saw
has it?
my buddy's working for Knocked Loose, so I went down. They had the Pure Noise Records like 15-year anniversary the other night, maybe
Mhm.
last weekend or the weekend before, and I wasn't paying attention. And When We Were Young Fest was the same thing, so
Mhm.
there was like I had all access passes, and I was just trying to give one away because my brother couldn't go. I'm like, yo, anybody want this? And every fucking person I knew was going to a different, like, exclusive, sold out, badass show. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't even give away a fucking, like, sold out Knocked Loose all access pass. Jesus, it's popping this weekend like crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nuts. I'll ask the noob Vegas question for you. Have you been to the Sphere?
I was inside of the Sphere when it was being constructed. I have not been to an event. I've only driven by it outside. I was gonna go to the UFC until I saw the ticket prices, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I don't want to go that bad."
They
Fuck
got to
it.
pay for all those little TVs.
It looks cool. Like I saw some videos. Friends of mine have gone to a few things, and like my hippie buddy's wife went and saw Fish, and
Yeah.
I mean, it looked fucking or Grateful Dead, I guess, in company with John Mayer, looked
Yeah.
fucking insane. You know?
So
Now,
they just play on that small stage, right? And the video takes up basically creates all the production.
seems like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like a giant dome behind it, and it does all this
That's
crazy
crazy.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: the Spirit World show there. I think we should make that happen.
I, sign me up.
You know, I think.
I think there'd be about eight metal super fans that could
Yeah.
afford
Yeah.
who
But
would want to and could afford it. So it
yeah.
might be a losing.
Well, let's just see how much each eight of them want to pay, and
That's right.
you
That's right.
know,
So what's the
um,
big rock station there? What's it? 102.7? What is it?
Uh, X1075 is like the FM kind of alternative rock one.
See, there you go. They get them to sponsor it. It's $10.70.
Yeah, there you go.
God, you're a
Yeah.
marketing genius.
Used to work in radio, my friend.
There it is. You mentioned your producer Sam.
Yeah.
It's Sampua, right?
Yeah.
How did you? Because he's done a lot of shit, man. How did you guys connect with him? How did you connect with him? Was a what's that all about?
When he was like 20 years old, like way back, some friends of mine from the Bay Area were recording with him when he was in a storage unit making records. And so then one of my old bands recorded with him way back, maybe like 2008, 2009. And so when I started this project, he did some really big records, but they were kind of in the indie rock pop punk realm.
Hmm.
But I mean, he loves heavy music too. So we've just been friends the whole time. So when I was doing Pagan Rhythms, I just hit him up and was like, yo, you want to do all these hard, crazy ass, like, death metal thrash songs? I got this cool record. And he was all about it. So we've been up there cooking, man. It's cool. Like he's got a great studio, like really dialed in, and like he has a really heavy-handed production style with what he likes to do.
Hmm.
And we have completely different, like he came up, he loves all the stuff that I was too much of a like metal cool guy for. So like he, you know, he loved all the new metal bands, Limp Bizkit, fucking, I mean, other stuff too, but then all the chaotic metalcore, like everything that I never got into, that's his favorite shit. And then
Mhm.
where I like obsess over, you know, Exodus and Sepultura and all that kind of stuff I grew up with. He appreciated it, but he doesn't listen to it. So it's a cool, like, it makes my records not sound, if it was just me, you know, having some other dude that loves the same canon of material, you know, I think it adds something having a completely different, you know, dude's approach to it,
Yeah, it's
which is
funny
cool.
because you sound like you might be a little heavy-handed, right? Because you said I'm going to be the dick, right? I'm the asshole, and then to have
Yeah.
somebody who you describe as heavy-handed, that's certainly an interesting mix, right? That, but
Yeah. And
clearly
it's
both
one
of
of,
you aren't so heavy-handed that you're not able to listen to one another, right?
yeah. And it's one of those things where what he's really good at, like, I just turn him loose and say, cool, you know, if you're going to spend all this time editing drums and like we went so psycho on this one, because I hate how every record just everybody is in the same, they have the same few samples they use for the kick drum and,
Yeah.
you know, the snare. So we don't have any samples on our new record. And so in order to make the record sound how I wanted it, where I say that we don't have any common ground, that's not entirely true because like we're obsessed with making records. And so I go back through my catalog of, you know, stuff that I think sounds great. And we both landed. Quit fucking texting me. Sorry, guys. Are you hearing that beeping?
No, I can't hear it,
No,
but yeah,
no.
let's bring him in.
Oh, we don't want to bring him in.
You should.
Get us all canceled. But anyways, so like with the drum sound, it's like I wanted to not have to sample a bunch of stuff. And so the only way I could get it how we wanted was doing a record like how Jeff Lynne was doing his stuff, where you just recorded, or Eric Valentine, where you separate the kick, snare, hands, do it all. And where those guys, like when Valentine did that with Dave Grohl and them on the Queens of the Stone Age record,
Mhm.
like they didn't play to a click. And so when you come back and you try and add in all the cymbal stuff, you know, it makes you drummer want to kill you. So
Yeah.
that's why I had everything mapped so meticulously on MIDI. And then our drummer had enough time where I'm like, this is gonna suck. You're gonna hate this, but it's gonna be great. So like literally start the track part to part, had him play the kick, perfect. Then snare, then the fucking, you know, the only
Yeah.
things that are hidden the like the fills because it's too hard to edit it. So
Yeah.
when you get to the point where it needs a fill, then I need that perfect punch of the fill. So it was horribly time consuming and fucking challenging, but the record sounds incredible.
And that and
And
that
there's
and that
not a sample on it. So
that technique and that philosophy was different than the two previous records, or has that been the MO all along?
no, because the first two, like Thomas Pridgeon came in and blasted out the drums
Well,
in a
right.
couple days, and like he's an amazing drummer. But then we ran into all these issues where it's like we have a great take, but things with the editing, it's like, well, fuck. Now we have all of this stuff is in the overhead, so now we can't quite do what we need to do on the production end with certain elements to make the mix glue together. And Sam's he's a psycho like I am. And so we just kind of through doing two records, just like we're real honest about if we want to make it exactly how we want, what do we have to do? And because I don't have an it's not a democracy. I do whatever I want. So I write the songs and then I can say when we track, this is what we're gonna do. Whereas, you know, if you were playing in a room with your band and five guys jam this out, write it, I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe you have somebody in the band who's like, fuck you. I want to play live in the live room, this soulless, one part at a time. I don't have that because I only care about the record. So I'm like, this is going to suck quad tracking and being so meticulous. But at the end of it, it's going to help me get the record that I'm trying to make,
Mhm.
you know?
I just love that you just name check Jeff Lynne because that's who I'm currently out with. You'd be amazed at his meticulous during sound check. So
Yeah. You
he's old,
know,
but he's still got an ear.
yeah. Well, you can tell him
Yeah.
fucking, there's a metalhead over here biting his style, you know?
Oh, dude, the amount of we had so Grady Champion, the guitar tech for Pantera, was out at one of our shows in Dallas, and he was crying by the end of the night. He was physically crying
Yeah.
because it was just so like, I can't believe this shit. I'm like, be good.
Well,
Yeah, man.
sounds to me, Justin, like there's a connection that needs to happen there for a little hey hello.
Well, you know what? We only got one show left.
Well, make it happen.
Okay.
So you talked about your brother. So there's an interesting dynamic that I always
This
find
actually
interesting.
is it literally your brother or just someone that's a good friend you call your brother?
Yeah, I've got 5 brothers. There's 6 of
Oh
us.
shit.
So
Okay.
I have a twin brother.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
my mom
shit.
had all boys. And so my brother
Ooh,
Nick is my
that
older
household.
brother.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, that
I'm one of 4 boys, and that's like 30%
yeah.
more, and that's science.
Yeah, and we just got crazier and fucking more unhinged,
Uh-huh.
everyone that crawled out. So I feel
Yeah.
bad for my mom. But
Yeah.
like he was 6 years older than me, give or take. So like he was when I was little, like when I say I grew up with like my parents listening to nothing but George Jones and Johnny Cash and Johnny Horton and like this stuff, then my older brothers were like, some of them were like into, the glam, Motley Crue, like heavy metal stuff, a lot of rock and roll, Kiss, that kind of stuff. But then 2 of my brothers were super into punk rock and Slayer, Danzig, all of that stuff. So when I was little, the radio was never on. It was always somebody, dominating with a tape deck, or like records or CDs. So I just grew up getting pounded by like Misfits, Social D, Slayer, all these things. And so um my brother Nick, who plays bass in Spirit World, when I did the first record and then sold out the pressing and then forget how it worked out, but I just remember a phone call. It was like we got offered to go out with Obituary. And so I was like, not lying because I knew I could put together a live band, but I may have,
Sold it.
said, "Oh yeah, I've got a band, of course, no
Mhm.
problem."
Yeah.
And then as soon as the tour was confirmed, then I got on the phone and was like, had to call up some of the boys and be like, "Yo, you want to go fucking work up this set and go out with Obituary?" And so then I got to hand pick, and it was cool because then I got to pick some of my friends that, number one, are like cool as fuck to be in a van with, that you just want to go kick it and spend time anyways. Whereas
Mhm.
sometimes if you start a band, you're at the mercy of whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whoever's,
local talent.
yeah. So I got to
Yeah.
just handpick all like great players and great dudes I want to hang out with. And so my older brother that kind of got me into a lot of this stuff, now like I get to take him out on tour with all his favorite bands. Like we went out with Creator, like all kinds of crazy shit. So me and him will be
Yeah.
side stage, just like, God, this is fucking sick, bro.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Where are you both in the birth order?
Uh, he would be 4th. I'm 5th.
Well, there was a
Yeah.
gap. Your folks thought they were done. Your mom thought she was done.
Yeah. Funny story. She conned my old man and was like, "Oh yeah, all this like weird like voodoo shit where she's gonna have a baby girl, right?" She's like, "Oh, we can feel it," and
Hmm.
twin boys. So
Oh
yeah,
my God.
Nice.
I'm sure my dad, who he passed away last May, but I'm sure he
Oh,
was
Sorry
sorry.
about that,
Sorry,
bud.
man.
yeah, it's all good. He's cool, man. Like he's a funny guy. So I'm sure when they got that news that it was not only another boy but twin boys, he was probably just like, God damn it.
Yeah, the voodoo worked. It's just not
Yeah,
the way that she expected it to work.
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Do your other brothers play music?
My twin brother messed around with stuff with us for a long time, but not really. Like a couple of them play acoustic guitar and dink around, but nobody's ever like done anything like
They
what
really
I've been doing,
yeah.
like on a
Are they
pro
are they are they
level.
on to other professions?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody like me too. Like I have a straight job. So that's another reason why I take so many, like I only do what I want because I
You
have
can.
no skin in the game. Like
Yeah.
I know I have a
What
record deal and I do big tours, but like at the end of the day, I only do what I want. And if it
Mhm.
doesn't work out, like at least I did what I want. But if it takes
What,
off, like I'm trying to grow it in a way that is sustainable and maybe one day.
Yeah,
But
becomes the straight job.
yeah,
what's your 9 to 5?
I work for a telecom company that I do process design and improvement. My title has changed like 3 times. So currently I think I'm a manager slash process design and improvement. So it's
Do your fellow employees know what you do on the side?
fuck no. So I have a hard rule with the straight
They do
job because
now.
I learned that lesson before. Because when you're
Uh,
doing interesting stuff, like yes, I could make fast friends by being like, oh yeah, I'm about to fly to Europe and do all this crazy shit. And then everybody, you know, everybody thinks being a rocker is cool. But I work remote. Like your shirt reminded me because Agnostic Front took us out and I was working remote from the bus. And I
uh,
maybe did not tell my company that I was going to be in Europe for a month. And so I just that's the kind of stuff where like I'm not going to go talk to my corporate homies, and
Right.
separation of church and state. The less everybody
yeah,
knows, the
no,
better.
So
yeah, I like.
do we need to block your face out and change your voice when we upload this podcast?
Yeah, I think we're fine. I had one guy that was my boss's boss a couple years ago that uh he used to be roommates with some of the Snapcase guys and like loved
Oh, jeez,
death metal. And so he
how random.
yeah, it was funny. Somehow one of my friends had told him something and he like found out about my band and super dug it. But that was before we were touring. And so then that was the last guy where I'm like, I don't mention anything. I'll just
Yeah.
play dumb and ask for
Yeah,
forgiveness and be
But
like, what?
I feel
Remote?
like right now when you're working remote, there is this thing where it's like eh, you got to be just judged on if you're doing the job or not, right?
right.
It's like just let it go. If they're performing and they're showing up and doing the work, then like that's the nature of remote work, right? I think.
Yeah,
Right,
and it's
that's
like we do projects, so sometimes I need to be in the field, either in California, like I was in Kansas or Vegas. Primarily, I cover Nevada and Southern California. So when I do a big project, like I'll need to be on site doing some stuff, and so I try and book the tours around these things. And so then when I'm gone, it's easy stuff I can do remote,
mm,
but so many people fucked it up during the COVID and right afterwards that I pretty sure there's a rule. It's never been put down on me where like you need to be in your home market. You can't be traveling. So I've just never I come from the school of, ask forgiveness, not permission. So
mhm.
until anything comes up where somebody's like, I'll just,
Yeah.
you know.
They'll know what your situation is when they get tickets to see you at the Sphere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either that or when they see you with smudged eyeliners and changing out the copier in the office.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But it's cool. Like I've somehow set up all of this where like I have a great job that I can balance with touring. Like we've done all kinds of cool tours, and you know, being able to do both is great because like I can just afford to do exactly what I want with the band without I don't need 5 guys to kick in on anything. Like it's all very simple and straightforward, exactly how I want to do it. So it's cool.
Your connectivity in the Caribbean might be a little rough, but you can probably still
Yeah.
get some stuff done. Yeah.
We'll have some
Yeah.
connectivity. Yeah.
And I get a lot of time off too. So it's we're competing with some of the cool companies, where they got rid of us having a set amount of weeks. And it's I forget what they call it, but it basically I have no hard cap. So as long as it's approved. So I balance it by if I know I have to be in the field, then I take PTO and I'm like, block my calendar. If I can work, then why waste the time? But it's been easy. Like 2 week long things. I just block my calendar,
Yeah. It might get weird when you say I'm going on a working vacation and they're like, "What do you mean?" And you're like, "Well, not work for you vacation, but work for me vacation."
Yeah, see, that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff like I'll probably be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going on a cruise." And then I can, leave out the
Right.
part that like we're playing shows. Somebody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you want on a cruise?" I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we went to
Yeah.
the Bahamas. It
What a
was
wonderful vacation we had.
It was
Yeah.
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Like
flew to
Mahjong.
Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I
Yeah.
ate Johnny Rockets. You know?
Guy Fieri, Guy's Burgers on this one. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it
I
is?
love that
Yeah.
he just said Johnny.
He did say Johnny Rockets. We went on vacation. We had Johnny Rockets.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Damn.
I love
Fucking
it.
onion rings, man. The tower.
Let's let's shut this sucker out with some walk the plank. I'm not even going to explain to you what this is. What was your favorite childhood meal?
Probably pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah. Charlie's Pizza down on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's
There
now
you
a
go.
Boot Barn.
It's now Boot Barn. Pizza tastes different there now.
Yeah.
Justin, you got one?
Yeah, if you could go back and be a historical figure pre 1800, who would it be?
Pre 1800. I would have to be them.
Yes.
I would want to be Constantine in Rome. Let's go.
It's
I like that.
it's one of the more interesting answers, is it not, Justin?
Oh, I would have gone for
love-
Eric the Red, but that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
would have changed the course of history.
Vikings cool too.
Yeah.
Vikings are cool too. Interesting. No, that was great.
Yeah.
That's not even one of our usual questions.
No, I know. Well, you know, look at that. Let's see. If you had access to the most prominent billboard in the world, and you could put on that billboard anything you want, what would it be?
I would put a piece of my boy Give Up's artwork. That's one of his billboards right there. That guitar case is in the way, but he throws up a bunch of outlaw artwork on billboards all over Texas. So if it's the most prominent, I'd let him put it up there, and there you go.
Is it guerrilla style stuff?
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of wheat paint posters, but you know, he gets up on billboards too, and fucking that one's vertical. I don't know what he doesn't sell these very often, but that's one that he was going to put up and didn't for some reason. But usually it's, you know, like landscape style. So he'll get up and wheat paste a giant billboard of his artwork.
I love it. That's so cool. What's his name?
Give Up.
Oh, that's what he goes by. And that's
yeah.
Okay. Because we'll have to ping that in there somewhere, Justin, in the notes of this episode, huh? That's so cool.
Give Up, just like GIVE.
It's right there, it's right there on his poster.
I can't see. I did. I remember.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You thought he was Hardy.
My vision is just shot to shit. Give Up. What's on the what's the poster? What's the poster of that you have back there?
It's a poster of a man's torso and a road case.
Yeah, and he's got like a knife wound. Let me move this guitar.
Oh, now we're talking.
A centaur.
Yeah, he's a centaur. Wild, dude.
Guy holding a bloody knife.
That's some heavy shit.
Yeah, he's out there, but he's cool. He's my homie.
Kind of reminds me of those Raymond Pettibone things from the old Black Flag days.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got like the punk rock Xerox vibe going on. He doesn't use computers for anything. It's all hand assembled, no computers, all fucking.
So I don't know if you've had time, but if you looked at the other acts that are on Shiprock joining you, have you taken a look at those? Anything you're interested in seeing yourself?
I haven't looked in a while, but I know our friends from Ghost Inside. Those guys are cool. They all live in town. Been super fucking nice to us. Put us on one of the shows I was talking about. They did a like 2-night stand at the Brooklyn Bowl here, and like they just threw us on it, which was super cool. So I was excited to see them. And I have not seen Parkway Drive since they've become like one of the biggest bands ever. So I saw them way back at like a hardcore festival in Belgium one time, and just blew my mind, the response I got back then. So I've been seeing videos of this current tour where that motherfucker's up like on platforms of flames, and I'm just like,
Rammstein 2.0. Yeah.
yeah. So just because I like big production stuff, and it's like that's a band that has just been crushing for like 20 goddamn years, you know. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
they
We're,
do on a
we're,
boat.
we're lucky to have them back. They were incredible. First time we had
Yeah.
them.
Great.
I bet.
And super swell people, man. Like just the nicest guys. Right. And look, all of us on the production side of things and the event side of things, we're willing to eat some shit once in a while. But those guys, it was like, oh my God, like, could you just be simpler and nicer folks to work with, you know?
Yeah, I can appreciate that, man, because I'm
Yeah.
just a working class dude. So like the music stuff, when I start dealing with just that attitude, either from like other bands or like front of house guys, I'm just like, dude, come on. Like,
Yeah,
get everybody be
we
cool.
could all be somewhere else doing something a lot shittier than this.
Yeah, and I'm always like, I've had some really fucking tough jobs and really shitty days at work. And even the worst day on tour, it's like, I'm happy to be here. You know,
Mhm.
this is not even in the top 50 worst work days of my life, no matter how it goes. So I'm always thankful to, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
grateful to be hanging
No,
out and like
it's been
riffing
awesome.
with the boys.
Yeah, I dig it. Well,
I
man, we
love it.
really appreciate you taking the time here and
Yeah,
carving
man.
out
Thanks for
carving out
having
part of
me.
your night to chatting with us. I know our guests are going to be super excited to. I know they already are super excited to have you guys. And
Yeah, some people hit me up as soon as it was announced, like the
yeah,
Shiprocked fam. I just started having people hit me up being
yeah,
like, "Ooh, I just checked you out because you're on the lineup. I can't wait."
yeah,
And I
Yeah.
did get some people like saying that we're like one of the heavier, you
Yes.
know,
yeah, for sure.
extreme bands that's on it,
Yep.
which I think is cool. Like, I don't mind
Well,
sticking
these
out. Like, I'm
are
happy to hold it down.
yeah, our guests are not opposed to that at all, and just year over year, it just kind of changes a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Lamb of God headlined this thing a couple years ago, and that was just as well received as Parkway or one year we had Corey Taylor headlined, and it was I mean that's heavy
Yeah.
too, but not heavy like you guys. I mean, it is probably I would say it's probably the heaviest thing on the ship if that we're trying to quantify something. But
Mm.
as a metalhead, that's and I know certainly Justin and I are totally looking forward to these, and I get to see about a half a show every year because I'm always so busy running around. But
Yeah.
I
I was going
promise
to
you,
say, like,
my
that's
yeah, my
probably
half a show is going to be checking you guys out for sure, guaranteed.
Yeah,
So
that's the exciting part too. Is when we get the kind of road test the bands a little bit, being indoctrinated with them for almost a year because they get booked and then we pay attention to them. But these fans who aren't aware of you, that are just going to walk into that show and go, "Oh, fuck,
mhm.
okay, yeah,
yeah.
this is awesome."
When
So
we
that's
come walking
exciting
out
for
in our
us.
brand new suits, you know,
It's
That's
gonna be
right,
people,
fucking
man. You're going to
amazing.
inspire.
It's gonna be amazing.
yeah, there's going
Yeah,
to be, I guarantee you, there's going to
Yeah,
be a whole lot of people that start the set going, what the fuck?
yeah,
And then by the end, they're just like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
all we have to do is look at your merch sales the next day after that first show and go,
yeah.
"Oh, they connected."
And that's
do
one
you
thing
guys, do we
we
play
got.
back to back days or is it like,
I can tell you, I have a draft of the schedule that I can email you, kind of an idea of where you'll be. It likely
yeah,
won't be back to back, but Justin did mention merchandise, so business convo, right quick. Be sure that we connect on merch and what you're bringing, because I think if there's some stuff that's themed, uh, some things that are themed for you, and there's some good ideas there, I think you guys will. It's so what you do is so unique from a merchandise and visuals perspective that I
yeah,
think you do really well on the ship. And our guests are buyers, man. They love merch, they love t-shirts, they love the interesting
oh yeah.
shit. So we'll definitely need to connect on that and make sure you guys get taken care of.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
then the last thing I'll mention, you will know, and this is the promise that I make to all of the bands who haven't played on Shiprocked. I promise you, and I've yet to be proven wrong. These fans, they live this shit. They love their music people first. You will have these fans for the rest of your career for whatever you put out moving forward. You'll go play shows in Peoria. You'll go play a show in Everett, Washington. You'll be down in you'll be in
We'll have the
Roanoke.
ship rockers showing up.
There's gonna there it just it's real, man. They're super fan people and super people too. So I'm
I
looking
love
forward
that.
to it for you. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
been really lucky with this band where I feel like the bands that I'm inspired by, like, have really, like going out with Obituary and Sepultura and stuff, like then those will go on a hardcore tour with like Agnostic Front or Stick to Your Guns, and then we'll have the metalheads coming up in the tour shirt from the Sepultura one. And so yeah, I love that, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
I'll see
Yeah.
you guys in
Take care.
January.
We'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds good. Yep.
Yep. Peace.
Sounds good. See ya.
See ya.